Ozzy Boyds, and you're watching Reptiles Unplugged.
I'm John Feely of Feely's Clutch, and you are watching Reptiles Unplugged.
This is Will Rose from Royal Canadian Reptiles, and you're watching Reptiles Unplugged.
Guys, it's KB Reptiles.
Team Helga.
Team Beard.
And you're watching
Reptiles Unplugged.
All right, what's going on, everybody? So we are live again, and we have a pretty special guest today. But before we get to that, I want to thank everybody for showing up. And we got the co-host here, Adam, in the screen, and we'll jump on over to everybody here and let Adam kind of take the reins here.
What's up, everybody? Adam from Bum Xotics, and just like Joel said, thank you all for joining us tonight. And I love what 413 had just said in the chat. You know, he has a new appreciation for Wednesday. This Wednesday especially, we've got an awesome guest, and I'll let him introduce himself. So turning it over to you, sir.
Hey, Rich McCall, Serpents. How's everybody doing?
Here we go. It's been a long time coming to get you on here, I feel like. So super excited to have you on here. But I guess, you know, while we're kind of getting ready here, we can do that age-old question, kind of getting everybody warmed up of, you know, maybe how you got started into reptiles and where you're at.
Well, it's kind of garter snakes. Garter snakes are the entry drug to reptiles. But so I grew up in Michigan, and Michigan people, I grew up there for the first 6 years of my life. And the only snake there was garter snakes, but they were everywhere. And so that was it. My mom likes to tell a story of watching some guy kill a garter snake when I was like 4, and I went ballistic on him as a 4-year-old. And it's one of her favorite stories to tell people about. You know, it's the only reason I even remember it is she tells it so much.
Right.
You know, and then in college, I got into fish in college. I worked in a fish pet store, which was a really awesome college job. And I got into reef aquariums and stuff. I did that for a long time. And then at some point everything kept dying on me. I liked ferry races and that kind of stuff. And I couldn't keep it going. And I decided I couldn't do that anymore. So I got out, and for about 2 or 3 years, I sort of spun my wheels, and I bought a pet tarantula, and then I bought a Honduran milk snake. I went to the East Bay Vivarium. If you know those, you know, one of the oldest pet stores, reptile pet stores in the whole country over there in Berkeley, which if you're ever in the area, go there because it's just an awesome pet store. So I walked in there and I wanted a milk snake, and they basically all they really had at that moment was a Honduran. So I grabbed him, and the rest is history at this point. It was
right. And now
I saw a pied ball python, and that's actually where I flipped from the Honduran milk snake to ball pythons was, you know, oh my God, pieds, you know, and
right.
And you know, so I got and I couldn't afford one. If I had bought one at that point, my wife would have divorced me and thrown bricks at me, and maybe not in that order. So I started off with hats. So I bought a couple hats, and then I found Brian Gundy, who he's from San Jose, and I'm in the Bay Area too, and he's been my mentor ever since. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. You know, still trying to make pieds.
Right.
Yeah, couldn't have had a better mentor there.
Yeah, right.
I was just gonna say, what a great mentor in Brian Gundy. Holy cow, man.
He's the man.
Yeah, he is. For goodness sakes, right?
For goodness sakes, yeah. He's incredibly generous with his time and his knowledge.
Yeah, right. I watched a ton of his YouTube videos, man. They are awesome. They are just awesome.
I found the videos on YouTube, and I watched like all of them. And then I went to the Sacramento Reptile Show, and I just saw him. I didn't even know him. And then actually, I'm a teacher, and I hired him to come to the classroom as a field trip. And
that's awesome.
Actually how we really met.
No kidding. Oh, wow. What do you teach?
I teach special ed. I teach very severe cognitive and severe physical impacted kids, elementary age.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's my brother went through the special ed program. I bet all of them went crazy for all the different reptiles he brought.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, the kids just love that stuff, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that. Well, that kind of ties into like the first question I feel like we were going to ask is are you doing this full time?
No, not at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, you know, I've been in a good spot where I don't have to do this full time, which means I don't sell what I don't want to sell, and
right.
You know, and you know, my big ongoing expense, just like everybody else, is rats. And that's really as long as I get my rat bill covered, I can just keep churning out cool stuff for myself, and that's sort of been what I've been doing.
Right.
That's what it's about right there.
Covering the feeding, man. Covering the feeding.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah. No kidding, man. That's so cool. So, I guess, like, how big is your collection right now, Rich? Is it, if you don't mind answering that question? So.
It is. My goal is I want 150-ish snakes. I'm actually right now, including young babies, I'm at probably about 250.
Wow.
But what I'm working at is I've got grow outs that at some point I'm gonna start replacing some of my just het pieds and stuff. But which is harder than it sounds. It's clinical to say I'm just gonna sell my het pieds. Some of them I'm very attached to, and they're
right.
I've had it from day one, and so it's a harder thing than that.
Yeah.
It always is, man.
I have some snakes like that too. They may not be the most genetically powerful, but to me they're special and they'll always stay type of thing. You know what I mean? And
Right.
yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's like a testament to the hobby too, though. Is I feel like some people really get caught up in how people talk about money and stuff like that, but you have that too, where that's often not talked about. We have these snakes, like single gene snakes, that we've just had forever because there
Right.
is an actual attachment to them. So I think that's really cool to know.
Right. So I say I had one, and I posted this. So you may have seen this, but I had this snake that 8-9 years old. I bred her every year, and in the last 3 years, I bred her every month.
Wow.
And I bred her to every pied. She's het pied. I bred her to every pied I have. And then in the end, I put a bongo in with her, and he locked up 3 months in a row, and she went and had eggs.
No kidding.
It took years of this snake, and just for a long time there, I thought about selling her off as a pet to somebody. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Right.
She's never going anywhere at this point. But
Yeah. Yeah.
too much sweat and tears in that one.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that is a good question by Combat Constrictors. Joel threw up on the screen there. So, covering rodent bill is one thing, but where do you source your rodents? Are you mainly doing frozen thawed or live or live?
So rodents is by far the biggest problem. If these were a species that would eat frozen thawed consistently, I would so go to frozen thawed. It would be so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got at this point about 3 sources. I don't know if you guys know Dean from Dean's Rodents and Reptiles.
Yep.
He's my favorite source. Hey, Dean. The problem with Dean, not with Dean, but Dean's a long way away. So what I do is I hook up with Dean every once in a while and get a lot of rats. And then I bring them back and I take care of them. But I don't really want to breed rats.
Right.
Right. Breeding rats is tough. It's like a full-time job doing that.
Yeah.
Especially
I
if you
think
need
I
a
would have to. I think I would have to cut the collection down by at least half if I was to put the time in that rats need. But with Dean being so far away, the one problem I have is like rat pups and pinks and hopper mice and stuff for the babies. So I've got a source for that, which has been a decent source, although lately they've been not so bad. So I'm not going to mention it there because they haven't been so good lately. But I neither want to slam them or they're
fair. That's fair.
The ebbs and flows can be difficult
and that's just it, right? Yeah,
that's
why I got 2 or 3 sources now that I try to keep. I try to order from all of them just to keep the lines there.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen, and
right, and it's tough every year too with like breeding season coming in. Then there's a huge spike in demand for pups and fuzzies and stuff like that, and everybody's trying to get them and. Yeah, that's a heck of a job. I feed primarily frozen thawed. It's painstaking, and the feeding response is nowhere near live. But that's like the only way. I don't even know where I would get my source of rats. So that's a mountain you're climbing right there to constantly do that. That's rough.
Right. And I've been lucky. You got to think about it. Where I live in the Bay Area, it's a 9 million person area, and it's that hard to find a rodent source in this big of a metro.
Right.
Oh, sure.
I can't imagine what someone in the middle of Indiana,
right.
in the middle of nowhere does.
Yeah, where are you going to find that? Right.
Yeah.
Especially to feed an army.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when I moved to Ventura, that was like my biggest concern I didn't have a big collection then, but I had, enough snakes where I had to be logistically thinking about that. And I was really freaking out because when I moved out here, there was nobody. I couldn't find anybody. I was still having to drive like an hour back into the valley just to get rats. And I mean, that's a 2-hour round trip. That's a lot once a week, so.
You hit traffic.
Yeah, exactly. In California,
Tuesday night run is nothing but traffic.
Right? You just assume everything's traffic in California. So.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So how long have you been doing the ball python thing then?
So, oh wow, I should have looked this one up because I have to use my brain to think. It's 8 or 9 years at least at this point. I think that Honduran milk snake has got to be 12 or 13 years old now. And that's when I got back into snakes. And it was about 2 years after that where I first tried to get into the pieds.
Right.
And I want to say my oldest snakes must be 10 at this point.
Right.
So 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have some day one snakes then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, I've got, I think I've sold off like 2 adults ever. I've got everybody.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Once they've made 2 adults.
That's interesting because, some breeders, they kind of follow the philosophy like they breed the female once, they kind of get their genetic upgrade, that female sold, the holdback grows up, and they do it. So, yeah, different philosophies,
I part of what I did is I really worked on my base of females. And the cheapest way to make a big base of females is to make them yourself.
Yeah.
And that way when you do sell some stuff and you got your money to put into the next level, you can go to whomever with that 6 gene super pied and, and you've got the females for it.
Right.
You do, yeah. And that's an interesting subject that I feel like we've talked about before is having those females first and the females before the males, because like you just said, you have a single gene female, let's say, that's het for pied. Well, you can still put a 6 gene male pied to that same female that you've had for 10 years and make incredible snakes every time.
Right. And I feel like the older females have healthier eggs, and definitely I get more eggs out of the older females. I'm getting 12 egg clutches out of some of these older females like all the time now. Whereas, you've done it too. You're 3-year-old and she gives you 6 eggs, and the next year she gives you 7, and maybe the next year she gives you 8.
Right.
And I did, was it 16 eggs? I that 16 egg female I had this year. Yeah, I had 16 eggs.
Holy cow.
Blew me away. But she was a 12 egger from day one.
Right.
And I gave her 2 years off, and she liked that 2 years off.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Man, 16. Right? That's probably one of the largest clutches I think I've ever heard of with ball pythons.
Yeah, I've never heard of 16. I think 12 is magnificent. Like I don't even think I'll ever see 12. And you've seen 16. Yeah, that's insane. How were the egg sizes? Were they still like?
They were totally normal.
Yeah.
They and she's probably a 3,500 gram female at this point. She's actually a het lav, and she actually made me bongos. I put a bongo in with her. I'm trying to work the whole bongo lavender thing. Because that'll be a cool mix right there. But yeah. So she, I wasn't expecting it, so I took lots of photos so I could prove it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I would too. That's the Guinness Book of World Record type thing right there. I feel like. No
kidding, right? That's.
And she's older. Like I said, she's one of my. I bought her as a 3-year-old, and she was one of my first. I bought a group of 66% het lavs way back at the start. And in fact, that was the first snake I ever sold someone else was a $45 het lav female at the San Jose Reptile Show.
No kidding, huh?
Yep.
There you go. There you go.
That's a good show up by you guys, actually. Yeah,
it's a good show.
Yeah. I think the first time I met you was down in Pomona, but the first time I actually bought something from you was up at the Sacramento show.
Right.
A leopard double hat clown.
Yeah, I remember. Right.
Yeah.
It had a big ringer on it. Totally remember that snake.
She was a beautiful snake. So.
Yeah. I've never made it to that show. That's on my to-do list this year, for sure. I hear that's a lot of fun.
It is definitely.
Square footage is massive. And they have a nice wide open layout too, which I enjoyed So that way you're not all crammed up in the middle of the aisles, you know, like you have some room, the crowd has room, so.
Right. Yeah, that is a bummer. That that happens a lot at the Pomona show. It gets so cramped in there. It's hard to kind of move, and which is good. That means there's a ton of people there. But still, like, I feel like that almost hurts a little bit because people are just trying to get through instead of like stopping and looking and like doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Especially the catch it out of the corner of the eye kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I like sometimes the Pomona show, I just need to take a break outside because I'm like, everybody's sucking the oxygen out of this building right now.
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to take a break at a reptile show.
Right.
It's just
I never go anywhere. I stay in my booth the whole time because I want to show.
And you normally vend solo, right?
Yep.
Rich? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife came the first 2 times.
Oh, that's cool.
Are you going to the Pomona show this coming up in August?
Yep, I'm doing August Pomona, and then I'm doing San Jose in August, and then Sacramento, and then Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
And then Pomona. Well, I guess it's not Pomona anymore. It's Anaheim. January.
Yeah, it'll be changed
really?
to Anaheim in
Yeah.
January. Yeah.
Didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought they were doing the 2 Pomonas still. Huh. Great.
Right. Same weekend, just at Anaheim. I don't know what the venue's like, bigger or why. I don't know why you moved, but
yeah, I think it's the old NARBC location that used to go on in Anaheim several years ago. I think that's where it's moving. I had heard that the boat and RV expo typically falls like right around the January Pomona show that everybody would go to. So this year they contacted them and said that they were going to have to move us to like a super small, like one of the little tiny hangars that they have off to one of the sides. And January is the massive show. Yeah. So, the show promoters made the decision that wasn't really good. And I guess at the same time, the Anaheim location had reached out and said, hey, we've got a home for you guys that's massive. And so the decision was made to move over, basically. So.
Good.
That's definitely one of the appeals of the Pomona show was it was so. I mean, it was a 200-yard building by whatever 80 yards wide or whatever it is.
Yeah, massive. Yeah, huge. Huge.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm obviously going, so it's I'll see. We'll see. So I guess so you've been in this for 10 years. Roughly, let's say. So what have you noticed if you've noticed any maybe like changes in trends, or what do you think maybe is different about even just your ball python experience in the past compared to where it's at now?
The biggest thing is how we're using Instagram and what we're doing right now. I mean, this stuff didn't exist at all. Right. I mean, it existed, but we didn't use it. We didn't utilize it as reptile vendors or just people having conversations like this. We just didn't do it.
Right.
Like Brian Gundy was on there, and he's definitely a pioneer, but there was no YouTube star.
Right.
That whole thing is new and exciting, I guess. And Instagram, Facebook barely. Everyone said you had to have a Facebook page, and I'll be honest, I barely even look at my Facebook page anymore. It's all Instagram now. So that's really what's changed. My experience with the snakes, my knowledge of the snakes, my understanding of the snakes, I think that's stuff that you can't get anyway but, putting 10 years in. And so I really am so much more in tune now with, the snakes and how they move and what they do than I was before. I mean, you're sort of, when you start really seeing, all right, that snake is going to ovulate, 3 weeks before it ovulates, instead of waiting for it to have a football-shaped ovulation that you can't miss.
Right.
It's going to happen instead, and that's the difference, I guess.
Yeah. That's advanced stuff. That you're right. Yeah. There's no way you can just know that. You have to experience that.
You can read about it and you can, look at all the videos, but until you actually see a bunch of it, and and just dealing with like the shows, just dealing with people and learning how to deal. To sell at shows and to be at a show. I mean, if I had any advice for anybody who's thinking about going to a show, just go. I went with 7 snakes my first time, and I love shows, and it doesn't matter. You just go, you meet so many people. Just go with that, and roll out with it. And then the other thing, of course, is the how we're doing, these massive, like I said, 6-gene pieds and stuff. That was, back when I started, just a pied. That was, that was everybody's world.
Right.
Make a pied.
Yeah. That was the hot dog back then. Yeah.
Or whatever one you're into. But now I want to make a 4-gene highway pied.
Yeah.
See what happens. And
yeah. Gosh, yeah. Those and yeah, getting even those highway pieds is so impressive now. And so that is an interesting thing. Like I feel like the animals are just insane right now. Like it's every day somebody else has blown me away.
Right.
On Instagram or something like that. It's like, how did you get that snake?
Right.
Exactly.
Dude,
so speak about Instagram, Facebook, it's kind of all the marketing side of it. We've got a ton of comments that have come through the chat here. Everybody's loving your logo, dude. So,
all right now,
yeah.
Just so I can't actually see the comments, so I'm not seeing any of that. So
yeah. We're doing our best to field those for you.
That's my flame-breathing Triceratops.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Super awesome. I love the vibrant green too. Like it's super. It pops big time
on the black.
Yeah. And that's going to be your background for at the shows, or?
Yeah. In fact, I went on vacation a couple weeks ago. It showed up like the day before I went on vacation. So this is actually the first time that I've seen it too. It's one big sheet that is. I made sure it wasn't ruined.
There we go. Debuting stuff here on Wednesday. Live.
That's the reason I put it up, was so I can see it too.
There you go. Yeah, so how we were talking earlier is how did you go about getting that made? Because I know a lot of people are interested in that because everything right now is about like brand recognition and all this stuff right here. So how did you get something like that done?
So I decided that I wanted a mascot, and you would have thought it'd be a snake, right? But Triceratops has been my favorite dinosaur since I was 3 years old. Right. So I decided I was going to go with Triceratops. So I went on Fiverr. If you don't know that one, it's a bunch of people who can do, they make T-shirts. They can do all kinds of stuff online, make websites, make software stuff, anything you think of. And you just go on there and you find someone. You basically look for someone whose art you like. And I went in there and I specifically was looking at mascot artists. Like gamer mascots and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just who I decided I would go that way, because I don't know if you've seen my kind of crappy YouTube channel, but I animated this thing too, so that it's now my entry and exit on my YouTube videos.
But way.
Again, it's totally my ego. I just wanted a Triceratops, So so I found a guy who had cool art. And I grabbed some Triceratops art that were not mine to show him and tell him I want something like this, and he was like, yeah, I can do that. So and I got full commercial rights to it, and I've got three designs. I don't know if you can really see this one too well. I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna ruin it by moving everything here, but it's got a shadow of the Triceratops there in the corner.
Yeah.
And my initials down there at the bottom. Then it's got these flamey things all over it. So that was one version. And then I have just the plain Triceratops, and then a version that's doubled up like this without the flames. He did all that for free, commercial license, so I can make T-shirts or whatever and sell them to stickers or whatnot. And he couldn't do the video part of it, so I paid some other guy, and that was cool. So this was some guy from the Philippines. So then I took this to some guy from Indonesia, and he animated it for the video for YouTube, so that it stomps out from the background and then it roars like Godzilla. And that was totally, I love the whole worldwide connection of this stuff. It's just awesome.
No kidding.
So yeah, and it was really easy. Like I said, I got $140, something like that, $150. Wow. I forget now, but that was all with, again, commercial rights. So I can sell some T-shirts like this too,
and that's really cool. For $150, that is epic looking. That's awesome. And
there's cheaper versions of it. You didn't, this is like 5 colors. You could have made it less colors and less, whatever you want. These guys can do it. There's some brilliant people out there, and they just need to get on their computer and figure it out, And I can't do it.
So, here normally we talk trash about like social media and the whole online experience, but I like this. This is bringing a positive interaction to the internet.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. It is. It really is. That's incredible. I really like the blue eye too. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks kind of mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that.
Exactly. That came out awesome. Oh man. Well, that's cool. So I hadn't heard of Fiverr before you and I were talking, so I did some looking at it, and that's a pretty cool service right there, connecting, digital graphic artists and people and some other stuff. So
Right. I had used 99 Designs
okay.
for my thing, and the logo came out great, but it was kind of a pain, So I had some like kind of crappy experience with it, so that's why I was interested in where you had that done, because it's just I feel like a different version of that, and it sounds like your experience was really good. So that's
they have a rating system, so you can go look up what everybody else thought of them, and so I went with they have different star ratings, and I put the search. I only used the highest level,
right,
which usually costs a little more, but a little more is still not expensive.
Yeah.
$40.
Get what you pay for it,
that's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
And still, that price point's not that bad, because graphic artists here in the States, some that I've talked to that do it professionally, they're like 10 times the amount that you got charged. You know what I mean?
Right.
Be like over $1,000. And Bod's Exotics wanted to know if you don't mind sharing the animation portion. How much did you pay for somebody to do something like that?
I would say that was only like $40.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the people off the top of my head, but later we could maybe put it on the notes. I'll find out who they were and stuff. But
yeah, that's cool. Or I'm sure Bod's Exotics, reach out to Rich on Instagram. I bet she'd share that with you. So
that's really cool.
Yeah,
took like 3 days. Really, it was.
Wow, that's super quick too. 3 days, man. What, Joel? It took me like 3 weeks to develop our little basic graphic.
Hey! Don't sell yourself short, all right? It didn't take you that long, all right? It took like 3 days, I feel like, because you didn't even know you were gonna do it, and then you just kind of etched something out, and then all of a sudden we just had one. So you're not a professional, all right? So cut yourself some slack.
So better than I would have done. You know where your skills are. I can clean up snake poo. Someone else to make this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, same with me. I can't draw anything. I'm terrible with anything like that. I know what it looks pretty. I just don't know how to make anything. So
exactly right.
Yeah.
Hey Joel, sorry man, you're coming in a little faint sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just getting a few messages that.
Got it. We'll move the mic.
There you go. Oh yeah, I think that sounds a little clearer too. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was trailing away from the microphone. I'm trying. It's a constant battle with me trying to find light in this room, so I keep moving, and the microphone has stayed in the same spot. So, yeah, thanks for that shout out real quick.
No worries. Hey Rich, so I want to give another opportunity, because I love the shirt. We were talking about that earlier. That shirt that you're wearing right now.
Right.
That thing is so cool. So is that a one of a kind? There's no other printed? Like, how do we get our hands?
At the moment it is, but I plan to print some. So I don't know. Let me.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So it was the same idea. I wanted the mascot, but I've always wanted my own heavy metal concert T-shirt because I'm a metal guy, but I have no talent at all there either. So so this was it's called All 4 Band is the company. So ALL, the number 4 band, and they're I think in the Czech Republic, and they make band merchandise for metal bands. And I just dropped a line at their website and negotiated with them so I did the full color version. And then the super version, I've got a back to it. This one doesn't have the back on it, so I can't show it to you. But instead of having concerts, it's actually the reptile shows coming down the back. That's like the super version of it. But I plan to make just this version without that on the back. And then there's a black and white version of it that they made for me too. And again, full commercial license and stuff. And it was like $350. It was, I don't know what a real band shirt costs, but.
Yeah, well, that's an incredible piece of art, actually. That thing is super intricate.
The guys were fantastic to work with. I told them basically the idea I started out with was I said, was it Jorgermander, the world serpent from Norse mythology? That's that snake that goes all around the world and bites its own tail. And so basically, I told the guy that's what I want, and I said my one rule was I didn't want it to look like either the dragons in Game of Thrones or the dragon in Lord of the Rings. I said just no, don't look anything like that.
Right.
Other than that, just do it, and that's what they came up with.
That's super cool.
And then they put my name on top, and the back piece is pretty simple, and then. Apparently, that's supposed to be me.
Yeah, there you go. Taming the beast, man.
That was cool. It was a good experience, and like I said, I was wearing my own heavy metal T-shirt. And
right.
Dude, heck yeah. Well, if you decide to mass print those, count me in. I'll definitely buy one of those for you.
I need one of those things, man.
Yeah, man. I should have the black and white ones for sure at Pomona. I'm going to get that order in. I didn't do it because I was going on vacation. I didn't want to come back to a giant box of shirts on my porch.
Right.
Yep. Guy's next gone.
That makes sense.
So I'm going to, so I can do that one first, and then I'll get the color one going too and stuff. But yeah.
There you go. Heck yeah. We'll have to snack some of those at Pomona.
Yeah.
So you've said a couple times you were on vacation. I know you went on kind of a big journey. So where did you end up going there?
So number one on my all-time bucket list, the Galapagos Islands, which I've wanted to go to since I was 5 years old.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Did not disappoint. Absolutely, that's if you're at all interested, go because the place is fantastic. It was my birthday present from my wife.
There you go.
That's cool.
That giant Galapagos tortoise that you were with, that thing was humongous.
And not, oh my God, dude, that tortoise, and in sight, these are wild tortoises it was a cattle ranch. In sight, there's another dozen of those tortoises. They're just wandering around. And then I got some more photos to put up. There was a little mud wallow, and there's 3 tortoises in that mud wallow that are just as big as that one I had the photo in, and they're just in the mud, just sitting there. And and that was just one day of this,
right.
That was, in fact, it was the last full day. It was last Saturday. We did epic things every single day on every single island, and it was just so cool that it was fantastic.
Wow.
Blown away
by it. So you give that one 2 thumbs up, right?
Oh, 2 thumbs up. But I had 4 if I had 2 more hands. It was cool. I mean, in the space of 20 minutes at one point, we're in a Zodiac, and we saw a full-size giant manta ray at the surface splashing around doing whatever manta rays do for whatever reason, a Galapagos penguin, the flightless cormorant that only comes from there, a bunch of other birds, and then out of the blue, humpback whales. In space of 20 minutes. It was just incredible.
Yeah.
Stuff that people only get to see on video. You saw in 20 minutes. That's crazy, man.
I'm just floating there. Plus, it was next to this epic stone island that, there's rock work that was next to us was, just incredible too. I mean, the whole thing, it's oh my God.
Man.
Wow, man. That sounds like, that's like a crocodile hunter adventure, right?
Yeah, totally was. It was.
Yeah.
Did you see any Komodos, or did you guys go?
So the Komodos are in Indonesia, so none of those.
Oh, that is right.
I saw marine iguanas to the point where they were everywhere. They were really common. And then I forget which. There's 2 kinds of land iguanas. I'm forgetting the scientific name, but the yellow-headed one. We saw a bunch of those on one of the islands, and really close. We had one. So everything there is really controlled. You have to go there with guides. And you have to stick to the guides. And on this particular island, you had like a 3-foot wide path that you had to stay with. And you couldn't get off it, right? So we're walking on a path, and the iguana walked on the path. So he's just right there the whole time. And then he was the first one. And then we ended up seeing like another dozen. But wait till you see my blue-footed booby photos. Again, you're supposed to stay 8 feet away from these animals, but you're also supposed to stay on this path. And these 2 blue-footed booby chicks are on the path.
Right. So
I've got photos at my feet of these 2 chicks. It's just, the place is incredible. So sea lions, they're everywhere. And I saw a lot, the lava lizards, every island. It was like, there are Darwin's finches. Well, Darwin could have done Darwin's lava lizards that he wanted to, because they're all different on each island.
Right.
So I got lots of photos of those. The only thing I missed was the snakes. Because the way you look for snakes, right? You flip boards and you flip brush,
right,
flip rocks, and I think that the Ecuadorian naturalists would have smashed me with lava rocks. I started to do that, so they're really hardcore, but it's actually very cool. I think they're gonna, the Galapagos will be just as pristine as they are now, 1,000 years from now if they continue this. You know, you couldn't go wander the beach by yourself until that was kind of, you know,
Interesting.
you're used to that.
Yeah.
But when you realize what they're doing, it's understandable. And it was still, you know, I mean, you still had all these experiences even when you couldn't just wander off by yourself. So that's cool.
Yeah,
so,
that's
go if you at all want to.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That sounds like a heck of a time.
It was great.
Heck of a time.
That's on one of my bucket lists, 100%. I really, really want to go over there. Just the wildlife and everything. So, like accommodations, what is it like hotel style or is it?
So you can do hotel. All right. So we did a cruise ship, the Celebrity Flora, which is like a brand new cruise ship, and that was fantastic. A little bit pricey, but it was pretty damn good.
It was nice.
Pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
I definitely enjoyed that. But you can do it cheaper. You can fly into the main town and stay in. They have bed and breakfast and stuff there. You do, in order to do anything though, you have to go on tours or, you know, with these naturalists. So you can boat to all the other little islands.
Okay.
If you want to. So you can do it cheaper. You don't have to spend as much money as we spent. It's still not super cheap. You still have to fly from, you know, the U.S. to Ecuador, Quito, Ecuador, and then Quito to the Galapagos themselves. I'm not sure you can do direct to the Galapagos from anywhere else, other than maybe some of the other South American cities. But you can do it, and you know, it's not Costa Rica cheap though. You know,
Right.
But which is another one you should go do. Costa Rica is awesome.
Yeah, that's been on the bucket list. Yeah, I've done Belize, and next is Costa Rica, and then definitely Central South America. Lots of cool stuff to see down there.
Right.
Freaking rainforest.
Huge. What's that, Joel?
Like a rainforest down there. That's just wild over there.
Dude.
So pretty. So much different than the landscape I'm used to here in Arizona.
Yeah. Some of the Galapagos
scorched earth?
Arizona arid.
Yeah. Yeah, scorched earth. Yeah. It's a warm one. Today was a nice day. You know, it was only like 103 out there today so far, so it's been good. Good day. We had cloud cover today, so
Oh my God.
All I remember is when I moved to Arizona, we browned meat on the concrete when it dropped going to the barbecue.
Yeah.
So one has to wonder, do we need the barbecue at that point, or can we just put the pan on the ground?
All you need is your dash of your car is really all you need. Just set it in there. You're good, man.
You bake cookies while you're at work.
Yeah.
Our dashboard.
Yeah, you can come out of work with cooked cookies already in your car.
That's awesome.
Well, I guess to switch little gears back to some snakes and stuff. What's your most excited project you're kind of working with? I know you've talked a lot about pieds, and people have been really asking about pieds.
Right.
So kind of what do you have going on there? And I know you have some snakes to show that we can show here in a little bit if you'd like. But yeah, what's that?
So most of my big projects are pied projects, and I'm doing a lot of Orange Dream stuff. And like this year, I'm doing a lot of Orange Dream stuff with trying to make myself a bunch of females, because I want to work, you know, multiple gene Orange Dream stuff, but also super Orange Dream stuff, which I think there's a lot we can do with. So I want just more females to have a base to work on. And so I did a goofy thing this year. I tried to extend my season for the whole year. My sort of vision or dream, I guess, was to have like 2 to 5 clutches every month all year round.
Right.
I don't know if that's possible, you know. But I tried it, and I had projects I started at certain dates, and then started other projects later on. And I sort of used hatch dates of some of my older females when they went in the first place, you know, in the background. And I had females who had never bred before, and I tried to just use them. You know, they've been old enough. So my Orange Dream stuff, and then doing a lot of asphalt stuff as well. Not freeway, but asphalt. So I typically have asphalts. So I started those late. So if my dream doesn't work well, projects that are not going to do well are going to be Orange Dream and asphalt. But my stuff that I started with, I got Super Orange Dream, Xanthics. I did a couple of females of that project. I got some good results there. Got some eggs in the incubator for that one still. I got some highway pieds. I did a highway project separate, so gravel separate from asphalt.
Right.
I got some of those going. And let's see, I did a bunch of. I had this bongo that it was a proven male I picked up that for me wouldn't go until this year. I had him for like 3 years, 2 years now actually, 2 seasons, and he just wouldn't breed.
Right.
And all of a sudden, boom, now he's breeding. So
ready
he
to roll,
he
huh?
wanted to participate, and now I've got a lot of bongos. Which is that you ask about unappreciated genes. So bongo, I think, is a very well priced, underappreciated gene that does a lot to other things.
Gosh. Yeah, it does so much.
So that's just my thought on that one. I think it has a lot of potential, and it's cheap enough to just buy one and throw it in your stuff, and at least have a female.
It is. Yeah, I picked up a really cool bongo combo from Ozzy last year that I love it. I think it's so pretty, and it's a 4-gene animal, and it's not white, and it's not it has so much going on with it that's still like legible. That's a cool. I really like the bongo gene.
Right. I know. I remember when he put that up, and I remember when you bought it because it was one I was eyeballing too. So. That was a cool snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great snake you picked up. Yeah. I still need to add bongo, so I don't know. I'll have to hit either of you up this year and see what you guys are producing.
Yeah, bongo, man. Bongo for the win.
Right.
Yep. I need some bongo puzzle.
Bongo pastel and bongo cinnamon is just two simple 2-gene combos with bongo, and oh my god, they're awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Think what else it can do with whatever else,
Yeah, imagine like a bongo highway, bongo freeway. Yeah. Jeez.
So lots of potential, I think.
I know. Chat saying don't let the cat out of the bag about bongo yet.
Yeah. Right. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we can't let everybody know, right?
Right. So I know I'm anticipating. I want to hear the story again about your Xanthic pied, your OD Xanthic pied stuff. So if you don't mind going over that story, I'm sure you've told it a few times, but
at this point,
it is. Yeah,
that's how I met Joel the first time. As he walked up and saw that one I had at Pomona.
Yeah, it blew my mind. And then your story, like the snake itself, brought me there, and then the story, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like,
I know, right? Completely. So the gist of it is I pulled the Xanthic out of the blue. It wasn't supposed to be there. So what I had an Orange Dream het pied that I bought from Justin really early on, where basically I had only ever seen Orange Dream pies come out of Ozzy at that point.
Right.
Then Justin himself had a couple. So I bought a het pied early on from there, and so I started breeding those. And what I did was I bred back a female. Was my first generation females. I bred back to the male because I wanted to make a super Orange Dream pied. So my whole goal was just a super Orange Dream pied.
Right.
And I didn't even make one in that clutch. But what I did make was here's the thing. It was the first head out of the snake, first head out of the egg of that clutch popped out, and it was black and white. And my first thought, I remember thinking, does a super Orange Dream come out black and white and turn orange? And I just totally in my home brain, I'm like, what is this? So as I'm talking here, let me pull out one. This is this year's generation of it. But so anyways, and then when all of a sudden I realized what it was, that it was the Xanthic pied. Right. And it blew me. I mean, I was like, oh, and I ran around the house like a 5-year-old, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I just did this. Right. So in that clutch, I got two. I got a Orange Dream Xanthic pied, and then a Super Orange Dream Xanthic pied, and then I got a couple Orange Dream, hats, and one Orange Dream pied. But I missed on Super Orange Dream. So. I'm not sure my camera's going to really pick this up because you guys got those giant SLRs. I got this little tiny lens right here.
Wow. Man.
This is this year's. This is Super Orange Dream.
She's looking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A nice amount of color. And one of the things, when these come out of the egg, the silvery area comes out very white. You almost can't see it. And then it darkens up a little bit. And that corresponds to, on Orange Dreams, they get the black tipping.
Yeah.
Silver, that's the black tipping coming out.
Wow.
And then the next question everybody asks is, how do I know that's a Super Orange Dream?
Right.
And so let me pull out a.
Well, you can show us.
Yeah, exactly. It's the pattern. If you set these two together, so this is Super Orange Dream.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you put the patterns together, it's the same pattern.
Oh yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Whoops. That was the snake. I'm not sure what I just did there, but
Oh, you're
Did I
good.
mess it
You're
up?
good. Yeah. It's,
Okay.
you're,
No, you're totally good.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden Adam is just giant full screen and
Oh
Joel's just
yeah, just pull, yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you just can't see
Okay.
yourself now.
all right.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's how I know
Wow.
that's Super Orange Dream.
Yeah, the patterns match up. You could
Yeah.
see how like the little dots, you know,
Yeah,
and
the
and
black lining, like
Mhm.
the pattern, like the black stripes in the actual pattern are pretty similar too.
Right.
man, but
and
talk
Super
about
Orange Dream is just very different from an Orange Dream. So,
God.
right.
so anyways, there you go. So that's what happened. And like I said, I pulled it out of the thin air. I have no idea it was going to be there. I don't think Justin knew that it was going to be there. I think at this point he's also produced some from that same line of stuff. So of course the problem, and it's a good problem, I'm not complaining about the problem, is I don't know what line of Xanthic it is.
Right.
I have now ruled out TSK. I did the original male I produced. I did that to a TSK snow, so
Okay.
Xanthic albino, and I got no Xanthics out of that. So, but I did produce Orange Dream, Het albino, Het pied, Het TSK Xanthic, and Het whatever
Whatever
Xanthic.
example you have, right?
Exactly. And that's not bad. In fact, they were really nice Orange Dreams. I'm not sure which of those hets tricked out the Orange Dream, but they look cool.
Right.
So now I'm working on I want a snow pied.
A
There you go.
snow-pied. Wow.
Snow-pied, yep.
Yeah.
Snow-pied. That'd be
That's-
cool.
Cool.
That's really cool. I've never even heard anybody really working on that or seen one. I don't know if it's been done, but yeah, that would be really
Yeah.
neat.
So I would have to assume like the snow white will be a little off color compared to the pied's white, right? Maybe
would
you'll
think.
get. Yeah.
You would. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
The pied white should be that bright pied white.
Right.
And the
Exactly.
snow should be, I guess, it's snowy white.
Right.
Silvery? Yeah.
Silvery, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh.
Yeah, just like an off-white, you know, because
Right.
like all my snows that I have, they're not perfectly white. They're not ivory either, but you know
Right.
what I mean. It's kind of that in between. So
Right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a cool morph. I had never seen one of those till I picked one up for this project, the snow, and I'm like, when that thing sheds, like the moment after it sheds, that snake is awesome.
awesome.
Love
Yep.
it. The eyes are cool. The colors are cool. They're pretty. They're neat.
Totally. I
yeah.
know my snows for some reason love to finger paint with their excrements, so they're like always disgusting looking. I just can't. I don't know what it is. I've got like 4 of them, and they just love finger painting. All of them do. So
Dude, finger paint's great, man. You can get some.
yeah.
Start
Except
hiring
when you're
or
cleaning
outfitting
it.
those out. Hire those things out, man.
But dude, that'll be crazy if you prove like not like I mean, yeah, I guess if you prove a new line of Xanthic or something like that, that could be a possibility too. Like somebody just put in the chat, like that's a cool project you got running there, dude.
That's a
It's,
tricky project too.
And that's and I'll be honest, I don't want it to be Rich McColl's Xanthic line. McColl's Xanthic.
Right.
I would rather it be one of the other ones because there's other people working for VPI and stuff. MJ.
Yep.
So I've also made some Xanthic that are het pied from this project too. There's a couple females that are growing up. So if I've got a VPI female and she just didn't get big enough this year. Hopefully next year she'll go. I could try her out, and then if that doesn't work, I'm going to pick up an MJ Lightning pied, the Marcus Jane line, and throw that at one of my females and see what happens there. And it's just a cool project. So
Yeah.
I don't mind trying to figure out what's up.
Right.
Yeah, well,
Right.
Yeah.
That's, and that's one thing that this hobby, I mean, that's how it kind of started out, right? Was guys like literally just be like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. What's the right way, and putting a process to it, and then, going about it. And now we have hundreds of different morphs, and all to the hard work of a lot of people right at the beginning. So it's pretty cool hearing it firsthand from you, how you're going to tackle this and go about it. So yeah, that's awesome.
It's some detective work right there that you really have to go, and that's a lot of time too, doing all that.
Time and
Yeah,
commitment.
definitely some years involved there.
Yeah. exactly.
I was kind of hoping Justin figures it out for me, but
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, just let him do that work. All right.
exactly. But,
He has enough snakes and time to figure that out for you. I like that. Yeah, yeah. That you know what? That was good. Delegation. That's the other side of that. Delegate that work.
Oh man.
Hey,
Well, what were you gonna say?
so another one I've started working on is I got Monarch going.
Oh, okay.
Not sure if I'm going to get any eggs. I did my male. He got big enough, and I started breeding him off to 2 pieds and then to a hepide to get some pied het monarchs. And then all of a sudden he just stopped eating, and he got long. And so I pulled him because I thought his length to width ratio, I didn't want him to. Yeah, so the females might still go.
Right.
I'll just do it next year, though.
Yeah.
That's a cool project.
Yeah, we've talked about Monarch a lot on this channel. The debate between the Monarch and the Ultra Male, and I think there's the Bourgeon or Bourgine or
right, which I think that, and so don't quote me 100%, but I think and I'm not sure how you say it either. Bourgine. We'll go with Bourgine.
Yeah.
How about we all just call it Burgundy?
Burgundy,
I've heard that. Burgundy, whatever. I've heard it's the same. I don't have any proof of that, though.
Right.
So
the same of what?
Same as Monarch. And,
okay.
I've heard that. I don't have any proof of that.
Right.
So if someone actually knows that one in the chat there, throw it in there and tell us. So why I went Monarch. So Caramel, you got the kinking, but more importantly to me, Caramel sort of goes greeny as an adult.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the Ultra Males get lighter as an adult.
They do.
Right.
It seems to me that the Monarchs keep the color stronger, and that's why I went Monarch.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think Ultra Male's awesome. I don't have no problem with Ultra Male, but that's just why I chose to go Monarch.
It does seem, in some of the pictures, because I've been staring at Ultra Males and Monarchs now, because I really like that color palette a lot, and it does seem like some of those pictures just on Morph Market and stuff like that, the Monarchs, brownish, rust color that they have, like their pattern, it seems more crisp or darker than just your normal Ultra Male, So I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting.
Right. That was my conclusion too. So that's why I went that way.
Right.
I got mine from Tom Harbin, and he's done some cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
And he's got some older ones too, and their color seems to be there. So
yeah, interesting.
Right. Yeah, Tinley, I saw a few of his older ones that he had on display, and totally agree with you guys. From just the pictures that I've been kind of researching in person, that Monarch gene as an adult looks awesome. Yeah, it really looks good. So
right.
So I kind of want to get some T positive stuff in my collection as well. I don't have anything that's on that spectrum other than
banana.
Yeah, and even that's not
sort of in between.
Yeah. The fake T positive kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's the fake. Sure. Man, that's cool. It sounds, man, you got some really cool projects going on over there, dude. So, and is it just you taking care of all these snakes, or do you have help, or
just me?
Just you?
This is the hobby. And dogs is my big thing.
Yeah.
It's not work though. To me, it's one of those. I know you guys probably do it too. I walk out to get in my snake building, and to do one thing. So I go do that, and the next thing it's 4 hours later.
Right.
I've done all kinds of things, and the time's just boom, done.
Boom.
That's not work. That's me goofing off with snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, I completely agree. I know. Heather was saying when we build our snake building, if we can find a property large enough for us to do it, she's like, so we're going to have to set up an intercom system and maybe a camera system. So I feel like we still live together because I know that's where you're going to spend all your time.
I have a phone out there. She can call me if she needs to.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. We got cell phones now, man. Just get a walkie-talkie.
There you go. I know. That's what I was saying. A little 2 ways, boop,
Yeah.
boop. The old Nextels.
A pager. Just get a pager.
I got my security camera stuff. So I was on vacation, and the ship had Wi-Fi. So, I had to stop myself from looking at the security camera. Is everything okay? is everything okay?
Yeah.
I can look in the morning and I can look at night, and I can't look in between.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Limit yourself. Just, those 2 times. But, speaking of logistics while you're on vacation, I know that was something that all 3 of us had kind of like talked about a little bit, when we were lining this up. But I think it's important for maybe some people to hear, because I know when I was starting out, vacations was a huge logistical issue for me, right? How is my snake going to survive, or how are many snakes going to survive? Would you mind taking us into what you did to make,
So it helps that we have an animal that can go that long without eating with no problems. I think that's the key to this. If it was an animal that had to eat 3 times a day, like my dog, it cost me a whole lot for my 4 dogs to go to doggy daycare while I was gone.
Oh man, yeah.
But they had to have, what else are you gonna do? So my stuff is all basically automated. I'm Freedom Breeder racks. I've got some Vision racks. So everything's on Herp Stats. So everything's automated. The part of my collection's in my house. So it's got the house, heating and cooling going on, and we set that for, we weren't going to be here, so we set it at 80 for the house, so it would be there in the first place. And then I've got a split system AC unit in my building, and I have a backup heater in there. I don't have a backup AC because it's the Bay Area, and we don't hit 103 every single day. And call it we do every once though. We hit 107 once this year already, but
That's hot.
That's hot. But it's a real AC split unit. It's a quality put in by somebody other than myself. Somebody who knows what they're doing put it in for me. So it works. And if PG&E doesn't shut off the whole entire town's power, we're good to go. That's actually an improvement I'm going to make in the future, is I want to PG&E proof myself for all of this as well. Yeah. That's the next step in this. So everything runs on the Herp Stats. It's all there. And the big thing after that is the humidity and the water. And I was telling you guys, I had an operation a couple months ago. And so when I did that, I ran a dry run of all this, where I was still here, but I kept hands off. And so I was watching the waters. And so the big problem with the water is, they can't spill it. I'm using those Freedom Breeders with the deli cups.
The cup holders.
Right.
Pre-made things. They never spill that. They can get in it and spill it, but they can't flip it over. So that makes a big difference. Because I used to use, the crockery, like dog dishes kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they'll flip those sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Spill them out. So I think the deli cup stuff works a lot better from that perspective. And then, normally I wouldn't want to go 2 weeks without changing water. I change water like every 5 days. But one time off like this, I didn't think that was going to be a big problem for a one time.
No.
And in fact, when I got back, had I not known I put the water in 2 weeks ago, it looked fine. It was still deep. It was still crystal clear. It wasn't growing anything.
Right.
And luckily, no one pooped in it. That was, that's a concern, is if they poop in it. But I think also, especially the Freedom Breeder FB70s and the 40s, the way that's shaped, it makes it hard for them to poop in it.
Right.
I think they just can't get their behinds in there so easily like they could with the big dog bowls.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that was part of that. And then when I did the dry run, I had 2 baby iguanas, 2 Mexican iguanas, and the way I had the case set up, they were drying out the water in the snake rack next to them. So I flipped it sideways so they wouldn't do that. That's the stuff I figured out before I went.
Right.
And I figured out I had to triple up the baby's waters. So they have I bought the new Freedom Breeder ones that fit in the Vision racks. So I got those, and which are great. And I'm not Freedom Breeder doesn't give me any money to say that.
Right. Yeah.
I really
Not a
like
paid
them.
endorsement.
Yeah, because I super glued deli cups in my baby rack ones, and the problem is they're V-shaped, right? So the baby gets around them, and you can't get them out.
Exactly.
The Freedom Breeder one's shaped like this, so they can get around it, but they can't hold on.
Yeah.
Right.
But I had to add extra water in there, and I used little 3-ounce, I don't know what you call them. They're from like restaurant cups.
Yeah, like the sauce
Cups or whatever.
Yeah.
I used those to triple the water up, and it was more because they were spilling it a little bit and stuff, and it was evaporating more. So anyways, there you go. That's kind of a long explanation of all that. But the other part of it was my father-in-law was there to check on things for us. And he doesn't know anything about snakes. All he's going to know is the Herbstat alarm's going off.
Right.
That kind of thing. But the big thing is I had Brian Gundy, who is one of my pals out here. He agreed to check on my stuff for me. So, I don't know that you need someone who experiences Brian Gundy, but somebody who actually can touch the snakes and is not afraid of the snakes,
Right.
to be able to come in and
Open
check things out.
tubs. And,
So he was
right.
the contact. He came and he looked once or twice himself just to make sure that it was all good to go. That was great. If I went right after those earthquakes in Barstow, right? So
Right.
what happens if there's an earthquake while I'm in the Galapagos?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man.
that's what I did.
Well, that's cool because it is stressful, and that is something that I don't know I even fully considered when I really started rolling with the snakes. Vacation time now is a serious logistical issue, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got to plan. You doing that dry run, you're probably a smarter person than I would have been. I would have just
I just went for it. Yeah.
But taking steps like that is important. It's responsible. These creatures are amazing. They're in our care. We need to make sure we're doing even when we're going to go on vacation, we got to make sure they're taken care of, just like we do for our dogs, like you were saying. So,
Right.
Yeah. So it's not just about amassing the most snakes that you can fit in a room. You also have to think of these other things,
Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree. That's cool though. I'm glad to hear that all worked out really well, because I feel like that'll give everybody a little ease for even
Right.
just like the 3-day 3 or 4 days
Yeah.
you're gone or something like that. So that's
Right.
good.
My wife wanted to go for like 4 weeks, and I was like, no. It's just,
Right.
I can't conceive of being able to go for anywhere for 4 weeks at this point.
right.
Right.
That's something I give it up for the snakes. She's giving it up for the snakes.
Right.
Yeah, it's a dual thing too, right? Especially you have significant others. That for sure, it's a sacrifice on their end too.
Right.
So hey, shout out to all the wives that deal with us crazy
Karina.
snake guys.
Or husbands. Okay.
Or
There's
husbands.
a KB in here.
Any significant others that deal with snake addicted people. So shout out to you guys.
Well, I guess we're hitting that hour mark. We try to kind of keep everybody's time, to that hour-long thing. So we're gonna open up to maybe chat if anybody has some questions. I know there's a question earlier that I kind of wanted to ask. It was about activated peroxide. If you were still using activated
I
peroxide.
love that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
so, what do you
HP
use activated peroxide for? I guess.
So it's a cleaner and a disinfectant, and so I got the idea from I just forgot the name of it, the Chameleon podcast by Bill Strand.
Okay.
And he did one on super cleaning stuff, and on his podcast I listened to it, and he had a zoo guy there, and in the end I was listening for what does the zoo guy actually do. Because they went over all the stuff that we use, chlorhexidine and all that stuff. But in the end, the zoo guy was using this accelerated hydrogen peroxide. So I'm like, all right, he's using that. How expensive is it? It's not that expensive, so I bought it.
Right.
And the cool thing about it is it will kill every virus and stuff out there in less than 3 minutes. If you leave it on for 10 minutes, it kills even fungus. It kills everything. But it also is a really good cleaner. And it's essentially it's hydrogen peroxide, the same stuff you would use, buy for a wound or whatever.
Right.
It's a stronger concentration of it, but then the accelerated part of it is it's surfactants, so that it can clean better.
Okay.
That's all it is. So when it breaks down into hydrogen and water, so it doesn't leave any kind of toxic residue. So even if you don't wipe it all up, you're not gonna leave anything their snakes can get poisoned by. If you spray it on, the hard urate, the stuff you normally scrape.
Yep.
You can usually, if you just let it sit for that 10 minutes, it'll come right out.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it works really well. So it's a one-stop full cleaner and killer of everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I went for it. As opposed to washing everything down and then putting whatever you're using. What's the I just forgot the name of it. The what's the disinfectant everybody
I
uses?
use F10.
Yeah, F10. So F10 you got to
F10
spray
or
on and let it sit
chlorhexidine.
after you've cleaned, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you're using that? This stuff is one shot and you're done.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. I'm gonna. I had heard you talking about that in the past, and I had completely forgot about it when I had bought the F10. So I'm glad we're talking about this again, because that's something that I really want to give a go. Because like you said, hydrogen and water
the final residue is that's
Right.
pretty safe.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I bought my initial was $50 for a case of like 12 spray bottles, pre-mix, and then after that I found out you can buy it in a mix your own version of it.
Oh, no kidding.
It's expensive up front, but it lasts forever. I mean, you use barely any of it. It's like 1/16 ratio of water to stuff. So.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna have to hit you up on that, because actually after you posted, I ended up buying a case of it off of Amazon too, and it was like right around $45-50 for like 12 of them or whatever.
Right. Which wasn't bad, but this doesn't even do it the other way. So
yeah, and I mean, hands down, we've actually started using it in other places in the house just because it is really a good general cleaner. Like it's
right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's quite amazing. So
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
You guys hear my dog whining? It's dog food, dog dinner time, and he knows it.
dinner time.
It's about that time, huh? We did have, we had covered this in the beginning, but we had some questions pop up of how many snakes you actually had in the collection. I know we talked about that right in the beginning, but people were asking it towards the end.
It's somewhere around 250, give or take.
Right.
What day of the incubation is it right now? And
250 all by yourself? That's pretty solid. Yeah.
But again, it's all automated, and I do plan to reduce. It's actually more than I wanted.
Okay.
But,
okay. What would be your ideal number?
About 150 to 200. 150 is like the concrete number of females and males, and like 50 grow-outs. That's actually where I'd rather be.
Okay.
So I will move myself back down to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
So that was kind of the sweet spot that you found for time put in and the ability to work with things and stuff.
Exactly. Right. And the time I have, I don't have kids, so I get to do this.
Right. Exactly.
That's fair. Yeah, you can do all this now. You can clean up snake poop indefinitely.
Clean snake poop with the person poop. Yeah.
Professional. Yeah.
Actually, on my YouTube channel though, I got a video I did of all my pieds. I got like 80 pieds, something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
That's my obsession is pieds, right? So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes
so
sense.
Every pied I had at that moment, at that day.
Jeez.
That's pretty
that's
cool.
Really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm a big fan of pieds. I really like pieds. It's kind of, sometimes it's a bit of a bummer because some of them do really, you're losing out on some pattern, let's say. But it's all about just finding that mix that just works, and that's what's rewarding about it. I feel like too.
Right. In the end, I'm making stuff for myself.
Right.
And if you like it and would like to buy some of my extras, that's cool.
Yeah. More power.
But but please yourself first.
Right. And so, do you have any other species that you work with, or is it just ball pythons?
As far as breeding goes, I've got some Potosi king snakes, and I've got the super dwarf retics. I got a female and a male, which I haven't bred yet.
Nice.
They're about there. The female's there. The male should be there. I was waiting for him to be totally mature because she's pretty hardcore, and as Adam and I have talked about before a little bit. I just want to make sure that it's going to happen once, and I don't have to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do it again. Yeah.
So, so mine came from Travis Cubes.
Oh, okay.
He was producing, and then he sort of disappeared. I don't know what happened there. So mine was like literally one of the last ones he put out. Bought it from him directly, and then the male I have came from John Cashman.
Yep. Cashman. Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely they're tiny, so they're definitely both real. They're supposed to be Calatoas, and so I assume they are.
Right.
Coming from those two sources, they're pretty reliable. And then I've got one Burmese star tortoise, and I've played around with doing some tortoise stuff at some point. I really love those, but I've only got one so far, and then one blue tongue skink, and then I've got some C. defensor, which is a little Mexican iguana, little spiny tail.
Oh, okay.
That's
cool.
That's cool.
That big as an adult, not 5 feet long, much smaller. And I don't know if you know Josh Markey he's from Arizona too.
Yep.
It's one. He produced those guys.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. I've seen those lizards before. Those are really cool. Iguanas. Sorry.
Yeah. So, that's what I got.
Oh, nice. That's cool. That's a good arrangement there.
Yeah. You got a lot going on, kind of. Then that's cool.
Yeah. The super door stuff I love, man. So you have two pure Calatoas.
They're supposed to be pure Calatoa, and from the looks of them, they are. And size-wise, they definitely are.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The female
That's
lately,
one thing-
she's 3,500 grams.
Okay.
As like a
Yeah.
4.5-year-old.
4.5-year-old.
Wow.
See, that's amazing, right? That's ball python size, basically, right there. You know.
Insane. That's just
Oh my
insane.
God, dude! What a difference those snakes are. There, the strength of a Caledoa. They're compared to a ball python.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's-
the smarts with them too.
Yeah.
So they're strong and smart. That's kind of a dangerous.
Yeah. I have a 4-year-old mainland that's 17 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So there's your difference, I guess.
Yeah.
17. What's that in grams? I don't know. I can't give her.
I don't know. I'm not good at math either. I can't draw and I can't do math. So.
Right on.
Oh man. Well, Joel, I know we always try and be respectful of people's time. Is it time for the fire round?
Yeah.
Fire
So we'll do
Fire
our lightning round real quick, and then
Roof is on fire.
yeah, we'll wrap it up after that. So all right, so you obviously know how lightning round questions work, and so I feel like we already maybe even have this question answered. Would you rather vacation in Hawaii or Alaska?
Ooh. Fishing in Hawaii,
Yeah.
fishing in Alaska.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
I love both states,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've been to Hawaii more, so I go with Alaska.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And so, what's your favorite candy?
Oh, chocolate.
Yeah. Okay.
I love chocolate too.
That's a
chocolate.
wide range.
Love
There you
chocolate.
go. Okay. And so, are you a bath guy or a shower guy?
I am. I live in my hot tub. I'm a bath guy.
Okay, yeah.
I shower every day, but
Right. There you go. Okay.
And we
In fact,
all
I'm
appreciate
gonna tell you this. Normally on Wednesday after work, I watch you guys from the hot tub. Just so you know.
Oh, okay. Nice to know. Yeah, there we go. Good to know. Yeah, we'll give you a shout out next Wednesday. We'll know where you'll be.
Rich in the hot tub.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, so this is a fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is.
Oh my God! If I could, there's a story I could tell you. Horrible. And I have a reason for it. Ask me at Pomona, but
Okay.
it's actually related to a student of mine. So,
So
that's why I can't tell you online right now.
That's your fill in the blank. Your fill in the blank is meet him at Pomona and ask him about this question.
But horrible. Taylor Swift is horrible.
Okay, there you go. There it is. There it is. Okay.
We've had lots of breaking news on the show tonight. We've got a new
have.
logo. Taylor Swift is horrible. So.
Okay, so our final question. Actually, it's the final question, but we always have to ask the final question. So, are boxers or briefs? We always have to have closed questions.
All right, you ready for it?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, there it is.
Bare balance aside.
Yeah, we were waiting for it. We were waiting for it. Okay. I like it.
My
We were
wife, if
waiting-
she had heard that, she'd be like, "Oh my God."
There it is, man. I love it. We're right there. Okay. So the last unofficial question is still the buttons or zipper. Button jean or zipper?
Buttons.
Yeah.
Buttons.
There we go.
I feel like Rich
There
just
it
said
is.
that to include
Finally.
Joel. I
So no underwear. and
501s. I grew up on
buttons,
501s.
man. There it is.
Butt fly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
there we
too
go.
funny.
All right, yeah. Rich and I just got a lot closer just on that right there.
Oh, too funny.
All right. Well, this has been awesome, Rich. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's valuable with 250 plus animals that you have to take care of and a full-time job and everything else. So, truly appreciate it. Chat's been great again. We'll definitely have to do this again. This has been a really good time.
Right on, man.
I agree. And so wanted to bring Heather and Loki in at the very end. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Got clothes
Yeah,
on.
I promised somebody in the last one I'd make an appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for
So I'm
everybody,
bringing Loki.
this is
too.
Mrs. Beach Bum. You better behave, or this is the face that you will be dealing with. No. No, totally. Rich, I've loved it tonight, man. Thank you so much. Been great talking with you as always, and can't wait to see you in Pomona. So.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Been my pleasure.
Yeah, and everything's down in the description, guys. Check Rich out on all the various social media platforms. And again, if you're in Pomona, stop by his booth and say hi and ask him about Taylor Swift.
Yep. That's another thing, Rich. If you want to plug yourself, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Instagram is what I've been keeping up with the best lately, but I do have a Facebook account and YouTube channel, which I'm trying to do more on, but I'm not real great with YouTube. But I'm going to have some cool Galapagos stuff I'm going to get put up there.
Awesome.
The next couple of weeks. And then I do have a web page, richmccall.com, I believe is what it is.
Okay.
But which, honestly, I use it as my brain. That's where I put all my, the incubation stuff, the eggs, so that I don't have to remember it myself. So
Right,
if you want to go see what I've got brewing, what actually is in the incubator or what I had a year ago on the incubator, it's all there.
Oh, okay. So you have like a hatch record going on there, kind of.
Yeah, basically,
cool.
just so I can not have to use my head.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
All righty, everybody.
Yeah.
See you,
All right,
Rich.
well, yeah,
Thanks.
All right,
take it
everybody.
easy, everybody. Thanks so much.
See ya.
See
See
ya.
ya.